りしてたと嘆くにはあまりにも時は過ぎてしまった。まだ心のほこびを癒せぬまま風が吹いてる。乾いた瞳で誰か泣いてくれ。
Hello and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming, and today we're going to be reviewing a game called Darkness 2.
Okay, you know how this story starts. In the beginning, there wasn't shit. Literally, nothing but void and darkness. And that's how the darkness liked it. It wasn't until God decreed, turn on the lights, that things got nasty. It started out small. A planet here, a sun there. You know, next thing you know, there were humans and cows and then stuff running all over the place. Needless to say, the darkness was pissed. From then till now, the darkness tore its way through the world, inhabiting one human host after another, each thinking that they were its master. But you can't own the darkness. The darkness owns you. Fast forward to one Jackie Estacado. You know his type. No family, no hope, no future. He ended up about what you'd expect, busting heads for the Franchetti crime family. Life as a whole was pretty dark for Jackie. Then came his 21st birthday, and things got a whole lot darker.
So what is this game about? Well, there's a lot of parts to it. And as the title suggests, it's part 2 in the series. Now, the first game was a lot more basic than this one. This one is actually a shorter game than the first one, but a lot more interesting storyline, I thought. For me personally, I actually liked the storyline. I liked the way that they presented it and told it, even though the characters within it itself I wasn't too fond of. The story was entertaining. And it's the way that they put the story together that made it entertaining. It was how the interaction between you and the NPCs and other characters within the game communicate that made this story interesting, that made the game interesting. And we're going to have a discussion about that, but right now let's go ahead and talk about the plot. So the plot is about a guy named Jackie. And after the first game, he becomes the head of the Franchetti family. And since the first game, he's learned to suppress the darkness within himself. And
right around the time he died, my father said to me,
basically try to control the ancient demonic force that has a tendency to possess those of his bloodline.
Something inside me.
So, of course, he's haunted by the memory of his girlfriend that got murdered.
It made me watch the only thing I ever cared about.
A girl named Jenny.
Get her brains blown out right in front of me.
At the beginning of the
That
game,
gave me the power to make things right.
Jackie and his crew are attacked in a restaurant by a rival gang.
The killing only made it stronger.
And eventually a car blows up and it, blows into the building, and you're
found a way to bury it.
Wounded as a result. And because of your weakened state, the darkness within you reawakens.
It calls itself the darkness.
Shortly after this happens, a darkling, which is like it's a goblin-like creature, familiar of the darkness, appears, and he's there to be the comic relief for the game, and he helps you through certain sections, things like that. But Jackie regains his, health a little bit, and he decides he's going to go after the rival gang that, attacked the restaurant and destroyed the place in an effort to kill him. And while he's doing that, he keeps having visions of his dead girlfriend. Then you get on a train and some more visions happen. And then you see that Jackie is apparently gets hit by a train. And he awakens to find himself in a mental institution where various members of his gang, as well as Jenny herself, are staff members. And some of them are other patients within the mental institution itself. And among them is an occultist named Johnny Powell, who tells Jackie that he needs to find him. After a while, you reawaken, and you're back with your guys, and you plan the counterattack against the rival gang. And one of your guys, Jimmy, he provides lead for you that points to Swifty, another crime boss. And Swifty is subdued, and after you do so, he explains that a shady group of men from the Brimstone Club paid him to pull off the hit on you, and he doesn't know why. So the darkness, rips its way out of you, and you kill Swifty to silence him. And another one of your crew, Vinny, enlists his contact at the Brimstone Club to help them figure out, who are the people in this club that are after Jackie. And shortly after that, you encounter a bunch of armed cultists from the Brotherhood, a secret society who also helped to orchestrate the hit on you. And you find out that this Brotherhood wants the darkness that exists within you for themselves, and you're not the first person in your bloodline to have this happen to them.
Is this real?
And they ambush you, and they blind you with lights that force the darkness back inside of you. And then they knock you out, and when you wake up, you find yourself cuffed, and a device is siphoning power away from you. It's, trying to capture the darkness within you.
I don't know what this is.
And you're greeted by their, one of their leaders named Victor, who offers to take the darkness from you in exchange for the lives of your family. And of course you refuse to do so, and you lose consciousness, and you find yourself in hell, where the darkness is keeping your girlfriend's soul. The little goblin dude helps you break free, and Victor threatens to murder your Aunt Sarah, but you set fire to the club, and as it's burning to the ground, the darkness offers Ginny's soul in exchange for the siphon. And of course you and your men retake the penthouse, and you shoot Bragg. He's a Brotherhood enforcer who murdered Sarah, which is your aunt. And then you reawaken in the psychiatric ward again. And Jenny, as well as some of your crew members who are staff at this mental institution, they tell him that his mob stories are, delusions, and that none of that actually has ever happened, and, he needs to take his medicine. And while you're at Sarah's funeral, the Brotherhood, you awaken again, and you find yourself at Sarah's funeral. And the Brotherhood launches another attack against you. This time, Jackie subdues Bragg, who says Victor is based in an abandoned theme park. And when you get there, Victor locks you up into an Iron Maiden, and you lose consciousness again. And when you do, you wake up in the mental institution again. But this time, your Darkling companion is the janitor at the mental institution. And he explains that the asylum is like a mind trap created by the darkness to keep you away from Jenny's soul. And while all this is happening, of course, Victor is draining the darkness from you. And your little Darkling dude, he helps you to escape the insane asylum by sacrificing himself. And you're able to reclaim a small portion of the darkness as a result. And then you pursue Victor through a mansion once owned by Carlo, your father, and you learn that you learn from Victor that Carlo had promised the darkness to the Brotherhood if they promised to keep Jackie free of it, which is you. And eventually you end up killing Victor, and he impales himself with the siphon, or you impale yourself with the siphon, and you regain the darkness. And then you use that power to rescue Jenny from hell. And once again, you wake up in the psych ward, where the staff offer to take you to Jenny. And once again, the Darkling's there, and he sacrifices himself to help you escape. And you're confronted again by Victor and Jenny and an orderly who attempt to convince you that your life as a mob boss is nothing but a delusion, and you really don't want to jump off this building. So on the roof, the player is given a choice to stay with Jenny in this, make-believe world, or reject the asylum and attempt to go to hell to free her from the darkness that has imprisoned her there. And, you jump off the roof if you want to go save Jenny, and you fall into hell. The darkness sends demons to try to stop you. And eventually you end up freeing Jenny from her bindings, and you have a touching moment, and Jenny is revealed to have become a new host for the angels, who have seen the destruction Jackie and the darkness have caused, and decide that you've become too powerful and you need to remain trapped in hell. And the ending scene is you sitting there screaming as the screen fades away. So it's a pretty cool story. I got a kick out of it. I thought it was pretty well done. There's a lot of parts that I left out there. But the gameplay is a first-person shooter, and you have several different firearms that you can collect throughout the levels that you're going through. You've got submachine guns, shotguns, assault rifles, and with some of these guns, like the pistols, you can dual wield them. And along with these weapons, you're armed with a pair of demon arms, which resemble like tentacles coming out of you. And they can be used to slash your enemies, pick up various items within the environment, and use them as projectiles, as well as picking up like car doors and other shields off other NPCs and using those as shields for yourself. The demon arms rip the hearts out of victims and devour them, and that gives you not only health, but it gives you a type of what do they call that stuff? It's a point system, essentially, for leveling up your character. And I'll get to what it's called here in a minute. So the You're guided, like I said, by the Darkling, which is a goblin-like creature that assists in combat on different levels. And he'll gather weapons for you as well as ammo and show you the way that you're supposed to go if you get lost. And during several points in the game, you actually directly control this Darkling creature so that you can squeeze into places that Jackie can't fit, and you know, attack enemies from behind and stuff like that, because the Darkling is a lot weaker than you are. Whenever you're exposed to light in this game, your health regeneration is disabled, as well as your darkness abilities. And in addition, your vision will become blurred, and you'll experience a ringing sound through the game. And of course you have the ability to disable any of the light sources, as long as it's not the sun, to regain your darkness abilities and your ability to regenerate your health and things to that effect. Of course, this game has features, like I said, that are similar to like a role-playing game, where when you kill enemies and devour their hearts or perform certain executions, you'll earn essence. That's what it's called. And each point of essence allows you to purchase upgrades at various talent shrines. And you can also collect relics to get essence and other collectibles, which will earn you a small amount of essence. And then you spend all of that essence on the skill tree, which is divided into 4 main parts. You have a Hitman, Execution, Darkness Powers, and Demon Arms. The Hitman gives you passive upgrades that improve your weapon's reload ability, as well as the size of magazines that you can put in different guns. The Execution tree allows you to perform different types of executions to give you more benefits, such as gaining a massive amount of health, or more ammo, or even a shield from your enemies. And then you have your Darkness Powers as well as your Demon Arms that grant you access to active abilities. Some of these have a brief cooldown or a timer attached to them. And these abilities include things like gun channeling, which gives you essentially unlimited ammo for a very specific amount of time, and it increases the damage of each shot. You have Swarm, which is designed to distract enemies so that you can get closer to them. And then you have an area effect, sorcery, I guess. It's called Black Hole. And it sucks people in, all the enemies within a certain area, into it. So it's a pretty cool little thing to play with. And that has the longest cooldown out of all of them. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I got a kick out of it. Now, my favorite part about it is actually the little goblin dude. His commentary, his jokes, the way his demeanor, how he regards humans, and even you in that matter. I find it all to be very entertaining. I thought that was one of the best aspects of the entire game. So, yeah, there's a lot to this game that is absolutely just, wrong, obviously. You being a mob boss and going around town killing people is not a good thing. And that's the part of the game that I really don't like. I've never really liked playing the bad guy. I play games as a form of escapism. So I've never enjoyed games that force me into that role. But this game is a little different in how it approaches that. And the way that the story's done and how it's set up and laid out before you. By the end of it, you at least I had empathy for this guy. He was put in positions that he never wanted to be in, was forced into a role that he never wanted to take control of, and basically had his life destroyed because of a demonic possession that is like a curse upon his family. So even though, there were a lot of people who tried to make sure that he could live a normal life, destiny just wasn't going to allow that to happen for this guy. So, and the way that this story is set up, it really shows that, and explains it in a way that, like I said, I had some empathy for him. I was kind of feeling for the guy by the end of it. It's like, he just wanted to do the right thing, and everybody got in the way of that and kind of forced him to be this, horrible, evil person that he became.
Fucking basement.
Even though that's not the life that he would have chosen for himself.
Too much for a kid.
Now, the first game doesn't present itself in that way at all.
About once an hour, Jenny would find a way to sneak down.
Which is one of the things that I didn't like about the first game. I didn't like how it presented this character as somebody who was already a really bad person to begin with, and the darkness just kind of exemplified that fact, made it more apparent, or amplified his inner desires in that respect. That's what I didn't like about the first game at all. But with this game, they went with the opposite approach, which is kind of counter to the lore of the first game, but I enjoyed this one better because of it. So to me, it was a better story regardless. You might be wondering, if I didn't like the first game, how come I played the second game? Well, that's because I played the second game first, and then I went back and played the first game. So I didn't even play these games in order that they were released, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I buy games years after they're released. I don't buy games when they're new. And I was reading this game, and I had watched a trailer on it, I think it was. It was something that I could find online. It was just a short 2-3 minute showing you the gameplay, and it was showing a section of him talking with this goblin thing, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. I'll pick that up and try it. So I got the game and I tried it, and I really liked it. So I was like, well, maybe I should go back and play the first game. And I wasn't happy with the first game at all. I was like, yeah, I probably should have just stuck with the second game and ended it there. And there's a lot of games that I've done that too over the years. When I got into the Legacy of Kain series, the first game that I played of it was Soul Reaver 2. And I can't say that I was actually disappointed with the rest of those games, but it's just another game series in that respect where I didn't start with the first game in the series and go from there. And like I said, there's a lot of games that I've done that too, or done that with, where I'll start with the second or third game in the series, and then if I like it, I'll go back and play the games that came before it to see if I like those as well. And I guess a lot of the reasons that I do that is because it used to be that if they made 2 or 3 games of a particular title, that meant that there was something good about that title. There was a reason that they were capable of making several games under that name. That's not true today. Today they don't seem to care at all about making a profit. They just care about pushing a message, pushing their agenda, pushing their politics. And I don't want anything to do with that. I could care less. That's not why I play games. So I avoid new games today altogether as a result of the insanity that has infected a lot of developers and writers for these games. They hire new writers that don't care about the lore, they don't care about the universe, they don't care about the people who actually play their games. They want to try to convert, brainwash, and change those people. And the writing that they put within their new games is a blatant example of that fact. And there's been a few games that I got over the last like 5-6 years now. I should say that I got like 5-6 years ago that showed this fact to me. And as I was engaging with it and realizing what this game was trying to do, it just upset me more and more and more. And, you know, the first game that I ran across that was like that, I went online and I tried to look into it to see what the heck was going on, you know, see if it was like a one-off thing. And, you know, there's plenty of other good games out there. I just need to now start looking into the game before I buy it so that I can make sure that I'm not getting this propaganda brainwashing sold to me. And what I found when I went to do that was that no, that wasn't a one-off thing. That's become the thing that these game developers now do. That's become the thing that the writers now do. And it was upsetting. It was very upsetting. They had taken something that I've enjoyed my entire life and turned it into a vessel to essentially dumb down and brainwash the general public of gamers to believe a bunch of woke nonsense. Now, to gamers' credit, a lot of us saw what was happening, saw what they were trying to do, and have absolutely rejected it. And as a result of that, they demonize us for it and say that we're the problems that, you know, is causing the world to degrade, and we're the evil ones behind the, you know, the cloak and dagger, and, you know, we're all a bunch of right-wing Nazis. And it's like, you know what? I'll wear all those labels with pride. Because at this point, what it really means is that I'm a decent human being who won't put up with your crap and can see the world for what it is. And because you refuse to accept that reality, you will label me as the worst possible things you can imagine in hopes of convincing other people of your lies. So that's how I look at that insanity today. And it's certainly not the way that they want you to. But regardless, I still enjoy games. I mean, I've got my entire channels dedicated not just to game reviews, but reviews of anime and TV shows. And the real reason that I'm doing all that is because I want people to see that there is good entertainment out there. There are things that you can watch. There are things that you can play. There is anime out there that is good anime that doesn't have any of this nonsense in it. And even the ones that do have a little bit, I call it out now because I see it for what it is. And I tell you straight up in the reviews that that's what's, you know, within this, you know, particular anime, or this is what you'll find in this particular movie. It doesn't make the movie itself bad, but there are elements of this insanity that are present. They're kept to a minimal amount in the older, you know, movies and anime, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't a thing that existed in the past, because it absolutely did. It just used to be a thing that was produced like 1 out of every 100 movies, or you'd see it, you know, 1 out of every 100 animes, where today it's the opposite. You know, they produce 100 movies and you might get 1 movie out of those 100 that isn't this woke insanity. And with anime, it's not that bad. It's about 50-50 at this point, but it's definitely infecting the Japanese culture as well, and that's not a good thing. And eventually, if it continues the way it is, we'll end up with the same type of entertainment coming from Japan that we see coming out of, you know, like Hollywood today, which is just a bunch of woke indoctrination, agenda-pushing insanity. And it doesn't make me happy to think that that day may come. And it's a direct result of not just the education system, but universities pushing
Keep going! You're gonna do it!
Do not yourself!
These progressive, as they call them, theories upon their students, and convincing them that these lies are not just real, but the way that people should think. And it's a form of brainwashing. They've learned over the years exactly how our psychology works as far as the general human being, and they use that psychology against us in order to brainwash us to believe whatever insanity they want to get us to believe. And this is a point where science is being used against us, quite literally, in the worst ways imaginable. Because what they're teaching and what they're preaching and what they're convincing these students to believe in is not helping the world in any way. In fact, it's destroying it and ripping it apart. But they can't see it, and they won't see it until the destructive forces of what they're supporting and voting for harm them personally. And the sad reality here is that even the ones who get harmed personally by it, half of them won't even see the reality as to how it happened and why. And they'll keep spewing the same lies that they've been taught to believe in as a way to fix the problem that the lies they believe in actually created in the first place. Yeah, I know, it's sick, it's twisted, it's wrong in every way imaginable. But this is the world we live in today. And that's, kind of what we have to do to deal with it. And for me personally, I'm going to try to provide people with a knowledge base of what's out there that they can play and enjoy and watch, that doesn't try to indoctrinate them into the woke cult. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I hope you enjoy the rest of yours. If you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow button, all that does help. And I'll talk to you later.
After an unfortunate incident